Today, we're looking at a deep and frankly unsettling paradox right at the heart of the Indian professional landscape. It's a dual crisis, really, affecting careers at both ends of the spectrum. Let's get straight into it.
Just let that sink in. It really captures the harsh reality for millions of people, doesn't it? For one group, all that experience, decades of it, has somehow become a liability. And for the other, all that youthful energy is being met with a soul-crushing, "You're lucky to even be here." This is the two-fronted battle being fought in offices all across the country.
So first, let's talk about this silent erosion of the experienced workforce. It's a trend that is systematically pushing out some of our most seasoned professionals right in their prime.
Now, we're not talking about those big, splashy, mass layoff announcements you see in the news. No, this is something much more subtle and maybe even more insidious. It's being called the quiet layoff. What happens is, experienced and, yes, more expensive, employees over 40 are just systematically sidelined. Their roles are made redundant, only for them to be replaced by younger, cheaper talent.
And believe me, the media has noticed. These aren't just one-off incidents. This is a clear pattern. You see headlines like these from the country's biggest financial papers, and it confirms what so many are feeling firsthand. Turning 40 could now mean the start of your professional obsolescence.
And the data? Well, the data backs the story up completely. The trend is unmistakable. You can see how hiring patterns are heavily favoring younger talent, while our seasoned professionals are increasingly being left on the sidelines. The logic for these companies is brutal, but it's simple. Slash payroll costs. Swap that hard-won experience for youthful energy. And this cost-cutting strategy, well, it's creating a devastating mid-career crisis for an entire generation.
Okay, so now let's pivot to the other side of this circus. Because while experienced professionals are being forced out, the very people who are replacing them, they're choosing to leave. And the reason why might surprise you.
The problem isn't burnout. We've all heard of that. No, this is its lesser-known, but just as corrosive cousin, Boreout. It's a state of professional apathy, really. It's born from a complete lack of challenge. The newest people in the workforce, Gen Z, they're getting into these jobs and finding them totally unfulfilling. Their tasks meaningless and their potential just completely wasted.
Let's be very clear about the difference here. Burnout, that comes from having way too much to do. You're exhausted. Boreout, that comes from having too little of any consequence to do. You're disengaged. Companies are just failing to properly integrate this new generation. They're handing them these menial tasks that have nothing to do with their skills or their ambitions. And what's the result? A massive wave of disengagement and people just quitting.
So, acknowledging the problem is of course the first step, but navigating it, that's the real challenge. So we're going to turn from just analyzing the problem to talking about action. Here is a direct survival guide for professionals who are caught on either side of this crisis.
All right, if you're a professional over 40, listen up. Your survival now depends on agility. You absolutely must be continuously upskilling in areas that are in high demand. And your network, it's no longer just a nice thing to have, it's your lifeline. You should also think about reframing your career. Maybe consulting or fractional work can turn that experience from a liability into a premium asset. And for Gen Z, you cannot afford to wait for purpose to be handed to you. It won't be. You have to proactively go out and find challenging projects. You have to communicate your ambitions clearly and relentlessly to your superiors. If you can't find meaning in what you're doing, you either have to create it or you have to find a role where your values are aligned from day one.
So, we end with the crucial question. As you think about your own career, right now, which side of this divide are you on? Are you fighting to prove your relevance, or are you fighting just to find it in the first place? Your answer to that question will determine your very next move in this job circus.